Hello, my friends, and today I'm having my February wrap up. February had less days. I had less days off of work, and my health was good during the month of February. Thus, I didn't read as much as I read in January. However, I am happy with what I did read. There was one weekend, however, where I borrowed an internet hotspot from the library, and I was not very productive reading that weekend. And it's amazing how your reading gets impacted when you decide not to read a lot on the days that you have off of work. And it really impacted my reading. So I read probably around 3,500 pages, whereas in January, I read around 5,200. So there was a lot less. But, there was less days too. I mean, you can't be perfect, right? Can't be perfect. So I read a couple of novels during February. Babel by R.F. Kuang, an amazing book that I absolutely adored. Great characters, great friendships. I love the colonialism aspect to it. Fantastic. I finished the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks. Loved that book as well. Seeing all the threads come together, seeing all the different characters revealing themselves to each other. The Burning White by Brent Weeks was phenomenal. It was really good. I liked it. That brings my total number of novels for the year so far up to 9. I still haven't read a novel from 2023. Hopefully in March I'll do that. I read another middle grade book, Sir Callie and the Knights of Helston, or is it Sir Callie and the Champions of Helston by Esme Sims Smith. Great middle grade book about a non-binary individual who wants to become a knight, and friendships and overcoming bigotry and overcoming people thinking old-fashioned ways and trying to change society. I thought that was very good. That brings my total of middle grade books up to 3. Interesting. Nonfiction, read a couple of them on audiobook. Uh, Stolen Focus by Johann Hari, that talks about how we focus and how we are failing to focus on the things that we really want to focus on, and that it's not necessarily our willpower and our fault, but these giant corporations that are stealing our focus, and a bunch of environmental factors as well. I read the Jeanette McCurdy memoir, I'm Glad That My Mom Died, which made me depressed. It put me in a funk a few days because it talked about eating disorder, it talked about abuse. It was a difficult read, but one that I think was important for me to read because it made me think about my own relationship with food. I read about 35 short stories. I read the January and February issue of the magazine of fantasy and science fiction. Some stories in that I liked were from Tegan Moore, Prashanth Srivatsa, David D. Levine, Maurice Brodus, and Dane Cutler. Watch my video on that if you want to know more about those stories. I read the Clarksworld December 22 issue. I like the story from S.L. Wong, Murder by Pixel, very relevant. Upstart by Lou Bon, and the Vandana Singh story as well. I also read half of Africa Risen, which I'll talk about more in a video in a few days, talking about the stories in this that I enjoyed. I listened to probably about 40% of President Obama's memoir, A Promised Land, and I'll be finishing that up in March. I read one novella, which was in fantasy and science fiction, and it was one that I really didn't care for. It was by Reed, and I didn't really like it. That brings my total number of novellas up to 7, my total number of short stories up to 46. And then I did not read any graphic novels during the month of February. Those two really long novels, the R.F. Kuang and the Brent Weeks novel, that took up a lot of time as well. So what's up for March? March, I'm definitely finishing Africa Risen. I actually, while recording this, I just finished it just a little bit ago. And a couple other things that I've already finished that I'll be talking about in future videos. We have Chivalry. It is a graphic novel from Neil Gaiman. The Night Eaters, She Eats the Night, Book 1. This is from Marjorie Liu and Sana Takada. These are the people that do Monstrous, and this was fabulous. So I have 2 graphic novels already done. Yay. I am going to be finishing up Lost in a Moment and Found by Seanan McGuire. This will be the first 2023 thing that I review, the first novella from 2023. And then I have a lot of things that I am aspiring to read. We have the March and April issue of Fantasy and Science Fiction. This one has an Eleanor Arneson, a Peter S. Beagle, a Kathleen Jennings, and a Ted A. Thompson story. I have a horror story, a horror novel from Craig DeLuey. This is episode 13. This was from 2023. I have another 2023 release here. It is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, a novel by Heather Fawcett. I have the January 2023 issue of Clarkesworld. I also want to read the issue number 50 of Uncanny Magazine that just came out. It is a double issue for January and February, and I doubt if I'll have time to read the newest issue too. Like all these magazines, I'm always behind. I have Stoneblind by Natalie Haynes that I want to get to. I have The Bruising of Quilla, which I didn't get to last month, from Nassim Aminia. I borrowed a romance book. It's called the Bromance Book Club from Lisa K. Adams. I don't know if I'll get to that or not. And then I borrowed another book. It's a fiction book. It is called The Minuscule Mansion of Myra Malone by Audrey Burgess. I'm not sure if I'll get to that one. My priority is reading the short fiction, the horror book, and I have a couple other horror books on hold that should be coming in, and I want to read the Stoneblind as well. So I have a lot of aspirations for the month of March. There are 31 days in March. I am taking 2 days off of work this month, so I should be able to read a little bit more with that. So I'm looking forward to it. Other than reading, I'm doing well. I went to the gym pretty regularly during the month of February, and I'm doing well. My fitness level is improving. In March, I'm hoping to improve my diet and just eat less calories, as right now I am maintaining my weight when I should be losing my weight. I don't want to uh, spend all this time to try to lose weight working out and then just eat the calories that I burn. I want to make sure that I'm being successful at losing the weight by eating a calorie deficit. And then once I get down to a certain weight, and then I can start building muscle with a calorie surplus. So that's what's going on. I hope to get outside more as the weather turns and I can go for walks more. I want to get a pass for the parks here in Delaware, go to the different parks. I would love to do that once a week, but I probably won't end up doing it. But I at least want to go once a month. I'm going to make myself go once a month. So I have plans to do that during the month of March. And once again, prioritizing my sleep, right? Prioritizing my diet, and just prioritizing be mindful and just enjoy life. I put a lot of pressure on myself to read a lot, but I have to remember that I make these videos for fun. It's not a job. It's for fun. If I don't read that much If I end up going to sleep early, it's not a big deal. You know, the important thing is to keep moving and improve my health and enjoy life, and also maybe do well on the job at the library too. Speaking of library, make sure you use your public library. Their funding is based off of the people that come into their building, that borrow books, that go to their programs. The more books that you borrow, the more programs that you attend, the more money your libraries will get from funding. So make sure you're supporting your local library. I'm questioning myself here if I should say this or not about the local library, but I think I am going to say it. You don't need to use all of your free money to buy books. If you do buy books, new books, new publications, consider after reading them or even before reading them to donate it to your library. You could always put it on hold after you donate it, or after you read it, give it to your library, especially the new books. They would love a lot of the science fiction and fantasy books because honestly, they don't get checked out a whole lot. So they're not at a very high priority to be bought by your local library. So if you can donate them after you read them, that allows them to then circulate to people in your community that might not have the money to buy them, but also for people that don't know about them to pick them up and learn something and enjoy something that you also enjoy. You don't have to have huge bookshelves like a lot of the other people. Not that that's wrong or a bad thing, you know, but think about it. I mean, you do what you want with your money. I mean, if you want to have a huge library, um, it's totally up to you. We are all adults. You can do whatever you want, but think about it. Support your local library, and I'll talk to you guys again in a future video.